What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to talk about with you guys. This time I've actually got some really weird and bizarre news that I didn't actually think I would be talking about on this channel. For those of you who haven't seen this, there has been a huge rumor recently that the Miami Heat could actually be interested in Kawhi Leonard. It was also being reported by Evan Macy that Kawhi Leonard would be intrigued to sign with the Miami Heat. They're going to say that Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers seem very happy together, but there have been some rumblings that he could look to go elsewhere this upcoming offseason in free agency. While it isn't necessarily likely that he will leave, there is always a chance that he could consider that option. Should he choose to do so, the Miami Heat could be that team that could steal him away from LA. Pat Riley and company have been cooking to pursue a superstar in the near future. Giannis Antetokounmpo was the name being most mentioned around in rumors, but with him signing a huge extension with the Milwaukee Bucks, that option is now off the table. Again, that's a huge thing that happened. Giannis signing with the Milwaukee Bucks is absolutely huge and a very underrated signing that I feel like no one really talked about. Kind of the benefits of him signing. I think it gives small market teams a lot more hope that they can keep their big names instead of them, potentially going to big markets like Brooklyn, New York, Miami, LA, etc. I think this was a very, very good thing by them, to be able to sign him. I think, Victor Oladipo was kind of that third star that the Miami Heat have recently gotten. Of course, I'm not saying that Oladipo is necessarily too much of a star anymore, but if Oladipo can get back to his old self and be healthy again, I think he'll be quite good with the Miami Heat. It's also being said now that one NBA agent spoke to an NBA analysis network about Leonard's future and the possibility that he could leave the Clippers. He stated that the Heat would intrigue Leonard on the open market, and this was the quote pretty much going around. Kawhi Leonard could very well listen to pitches from other teams. That is something that he is considering. If that does end up being the case, he would be intrigued at the possibility of joining the Miami Heat. Joining forces with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo is something that he would absolutely have interest in. So far this season, Leonard has had another very successful season with the Clippers. He's averaged 25.7 points per game to go along with his 6.5 rebounds, 4.9 assists, and 1.8 steals. Leonard has shot 51.4% from the floor overall and has knocked down 39.3% of his three-point attempts. So, when we look at this, there is a lot we can take out of Kawhi Leonard and the Miami Heat. I mean, let's be honest here. I don't really think he would leave the Los Angeles Clippers. In my opinion, I think he is most likely going to be staying, but there has been a lot of things and rumors on him leaving and all of this type of stuff. Let's take it back a little bit, back to 2017, where, again, he, of course, did end up getting traded away. Well, 2018, I believe, was when he actually got traded, but 2017 was when he did that pretty bad injury in the playoffs against Golden State, I believe, when he was playing for the San Antonio Spurs. Again, he ended up sitting out the year, but after that year, he actually, of course, requested a trade and ended up being traded to the Toronto Raptors, where he would go and win a championship. But what's interesting about, that Kawhi Leonard kind of speculation was, it was rumored that the reason he actually requested a trade was because the San Antonio Spurs were reportedly trying to rush him and get him back from his injury when he didn't want to come back. He wanted to, rest and make sure that he could come back fit and firing and at the possible best that he could come back at. Of course, that was the main rumor that we were hearing at the time, and that was the rumor that everyone, believed. Until in about 2019 or 2020, there were kind of a couple articles going out. I'm sure some of you probably have read on about these, probably saw them on some social media, but there was a rumor that hadn't been confirmed going around that actually stated that Greg Popovich was a huge, supporter in Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. And again, it was reported that Kawhi Leonard was actually a Trump supporter and a Republican, which is a pretty interesting kind of situation. And what was kind of being said about this is that Greg Popovich was actually kind of bullying or, again, kind of arguing with Kawhi Leonard about his political beliefs. Now, again, as I said earlier before saying this, it isn't exactly, it's not confirmed or anything like that. But if you're having a lot of arguments with your coach about your political beliefs and being, again, antagonized or for being a Trump supporter, which I'm not saying Kawhi is, again, this isn't officially confirmed. But if you're being, again, antagonized by your head coach for believing in what you believe, that's not exactly a very great thing at all. And that could have actually been the reason Kawhi Leonard did leave. But, again, I'm not saying it is true. I don't know if he had a fight with his coach. But what I'm trying to say is that happened in 2017, where it was reported that they tried to, again, rush him back from his injury. There was the reports that they had some political arguments. Again, not saying it's true, but I think it would take for something like that for him to leave the Los Angeles Clippers, in my opinion. I think Kawhi Leonard is really, really happy in LA, of course. He is from Los Angeles. The reason he wanted to go to the Clippers, again, so badly was because, again, he wanted to return home to his state of California and, of course, his, city in LA. So, again, that's why he, of course, went there. I think he's very happy. I think his family is very happy. I believe he has a wife and a child, I believe. Again, they're probably very happy in LA, and I know Kawhi Leonard definitely is as well. I don't really feel like he's the type of person to leave the Los Angeles Clippers. I think he's going to sign a big max extension, which will probably be a 4-year deal worth about $40 million a season or something like that. I think that's what the deal will most likely, of course, look like. And again, I think the LA Clippers have invested quite a bit of attention into Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, where it would kind of be like, why would he, again, leave? It just doesn't really exactly make the most amount of sense at all. But continuing on the article, it actually does say, how would Kawhi Leonard and the Heat fit together? Taking a look at how Leonard would fit with the Miami Heat, it looks perfect on the outside looking in. Pat Riley was able to bring in LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh into the Heat culture, and it worked beautifully. Miami always look to bring in superstars that are willing to sacrifice to win together. They would pursue a deal with Kawhi that would fit as similar to the original Big Three in South Beach. Again, that is a pretty interesting kind of claim right there. It does make a lot of sense, but an NBA scout reportedly chimed in about the potential fit between Leonard and the Heat by saying it would be absolutely seamless if it happened. Kawhi Leonard is not a selfish basketball player and he wants to win more than anything else. He would slide in and be a perfect fit with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. His defensive ability would make it nearly impossible to score against Miami. Leonard, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo would be willing to work together if they could retain Duncan Robinson in free agency as well. They would be the perfect supporting cast around the trio of stars. Robinson and Tyler Hero would be complementary pieces who could take some pressure off the main stars. Now, look, I don't know how much you can really trust that in terms of, like, saying that they would want to keep Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, of course, together is an absolute given. But the way I see it is, how are you going to be able to sign Kawhi Leonard if it's not in a sign and trade? And again, if it's going to be in the sign and trade, they're going to probably have to trade up Tyler Hero. Like, that's just the way it's going to be. The LA Clippers put so much into Tyler Hero and Paul George, or the future first round picks, etc., that they're not going to give up, let Kawhi Leonard walk in free agency for free. I think that, again, when you have Jimmy Butler on the max, Bam Adebayo on the max, Victor Oladipo, who's on about $24 million, I believe, or he's going to be wanting $24 million. He's going to be a free agent. I think they will decline Dragic's $19 million team option, which would most likely see him leave. He's probably not going to come back on cheaper if you're going to decline his option. So it's a huge thing, because you're not going to be able to afford to get in Kawhi, really. If you've already got these 2 max star players signed, you already have a bunch of other players signed, you're going to need to bring back Duncan Robinson, etc. The only way I could see it happening is if they did a sign and trade, which of course would be completely legal, and they would be able to do that. And what it would most likely be is a very, very big haul of players. Let's just say Kawhi Leonard wants... He's probably going to want 40 million on the Clippers, but if he's going to do a sign and trade, it's going to be like 35 million. That will be the estimate. Let's just say Kawhi Leonard does want that 35 million. Then, how it would be is you can actually have to trade Goran Dragic, who was on about $19 million, so you accept that team option. Still a very good player that the Clippers would very much like, I would assume. You would get in Goran Dragic. Tyler Heroes being about $5 million, I believe. You get in him, that's about $24 million as well. I think Miami will find a way to keep Victor Oladipo. I feel like they trade for him. They're going to want to keep him. And I feel like they'd be able to get Duncan Robinson. Oladipo would probably take some sort of pay cut. And Butler will be a free agent very soon as well. And I'm sure he'll take a pay cut. I feel like there's a lot of ifs and buts around that. And I think they'll be able to kind of make that work. But again, Goran Dragic, Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, those 3 players will automatically be in it. Precious Achiuwa as well, who's another really good young player. He'll be in it. That KZ Okapala, I believe his name is, he'll probably be in it. And then I think you would have to trade up like 3 to 4 future first round picks. Of course, that might sound a lot. Again, it is a sign and trade, so it's definitely not going to be up to like the 8 first round picks, which is what the Rockets got back for Harden or whatever I think it was. Again, it's not going to be up to the 8 future first round picks because it is a sign and trade. We saw Butler get traded for Richardson not long ago. So, again, that shows the worth in sign and trades. I think, yeah, it might not even be 3 future first round picks. Probably going to be like 2 if it was a sign and trade. But yeah, again, I think that if Kawhi Leonard wants to leave, which I'm not saying he does, I think Kawhi Leonard wants to stay and I think he will stay. Let's just say he does. You're not going to get as much as it would be a normal trade if it's just a sign and trade. I think if it's a sign and trade, Dragic, Hero, Nunn, Achiuwa, and like 2 to 3 future first round picks, that's probably what you're going to ask for. That is realistic. I think that is a pretty good for a sign and trade. That may be one of the biggest holes for a sign and trade out there. So again, that's actually pretty nice, I would say, by the Clippers. But if you're the Clippers, you don't want to let Kawhi Leonard go. It's your last thing. And honestly, as I said in the start of the video with Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs, I think it would take a very, very bad thing for the Clippers to do for Kawhi to leave. Again, we saw that it was rumored that Popovich was arguing about political beliefs with Kawhi. I feel like that's enough for a player to leave. It was reported that the Spurs rushed Kawhi Leonard back from injury. That's enough for Kawhi Leonard to, of course, officially leave. And then, again, that's just it. That's what got him out of the Spurs. That's why he left. I don't feel like the Clippers have done anything bad to Kawhi. If anything, they've done everything for Kawhi. They brought in Serge Ibaka, who seemed to be friends with Kawhi Leonard. Brought in Paul George, a second star. They brought in Rondo. They brought in so many of these players. I just feel like you're one elite point guard away from this Clippers team being a championship team. And I think that with Kyle Lowry being a free agent this upcoming offseason, I feel like the Clippers might actually look to trade, do a sign and trade of trading maybe Luke Kennard, and maybe Marcus Morris or someone like that, and maybe a couple seconds, I think would probably get the deal done for Kyle Lowry. Because again, Kyle Lowry, if you're Toronto, you would rather get something for Lowry instead of him just leaving like Philadelphia. I feel like getting back Morris, Kennard in a couple seconds would be absolutely great for Lowry, in my opinion. But again, once Clippers re-sign Kawhi Leonard, just like they re-signed Paul George to that really big deal, and once they get a really good point guard, they will be a championship contender. Because right now I feel like they're behind the Lakers. I feel like they're behind the Nets. I think they're pretty on track with being similar to Utah, Philadelphia, Miami, and the Bucks. I think they're in a pretty similar scenario to those type of teams. But again, it's just going to be a really interesting thing. Getting Kawhi Leonard, re-signed is the main priority. It should always be the main priority, and it will be the main priority. So, will he go to the Miami Heat? In my opinion, no, he won't go to the Miami Heat. But of course, I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channel, sorry. Links for them will all be in the description down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to, don't forget to check out my podcast, rather, if you haven't already as well. Links for them will all be in the description down below. But as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.